Okay. So I want to get a story time out about my divorce, why I got divorced. So it's all in one place. I started writing it down at one point and then I just kind of gave up. I don't know where to put it. So this all started back in August of 2023. My ex-husband switched jobs upon my encouragement. The job he was there for quite some time, wasn't fulfilled, and I said, hey, let's fine. I was in the process of getting promoted, so my salary would and his new income would support our family. We had our son in January of 2023. So he goes to this new job and things are fine. He's learning the new industry. It's a completely different industry, similar but different. And I don't notice anything out of the ordinary. So 2024 rolls around, and right before I guess all of this started, I started to notice he was going out with his coworkers multiple times a week and getting blackout drunk after work and then coming home. And with I had a brand new 1-year-old, like I needed help. I was doing all of the drop-offs, all of the pickups, all of the bedtimes, all of the dinners, everything, for our son. And that's not what I signed up for when we decided to have kids. And so understandably, I was upset. I was pissed when I told him that. He didn't care. He did not care. He continued to go out, calling me crazy, calling me controlling, calling me everything that you could imagine. Anywho, so we go through the summer. He's still going out 3, sometimes 5 nights a week, drinking, again with coworkers. August of 2024 rolls around, and we were getting ready for the first football game of the season. I decided to work remotely that day so I could clean the house, cook the food, get things ready for his family to come over, not mine, his family to come over for the game the next day on that Saturday. So he at this point in time, he was leaving that job because he was not, making the money that he thought he was going to. He was going to another company doing the same thing. Okay, fine, great. So his last day was that Friday. Again, I was working from home. He basically just goes into work, drops off his laptop and whatever have you, and then comes home and leaves the house again at like 2 p.m. to go celebrate with coworkers. So I'm like, all right, if you can be home by like 6, you can help me finish getting the house ready and help me with our son and blah, blah, blah. That'd be great. And so he doesn't answer. When I call him after I get our son from daycare, and we end up, I just keep on keeping on like I have been, doing everything and getting things ready. At about 9 o'clock, our son had gone to bed a few hours before, and I was finishing some things up. 9 o'clock, I hop in the shower, and then I go downstairs to the basement to get ready or do my hair for the next day, so I didn't have to shower in the morning, because I was always the one waking up with our kid every single morning, every single weekend. So I was doing that. It got to be 11 p.m. and I realized I still hadn't heard from him. So I call him. Doesn't answer. Text him. Doesn't respond. So I jump on his iPad and I see that he is at a hotel about 4 miles away. Obviously, I can't leave the house because our son is asleep in his bedroom. I'm not going to wake him up to go catch whatever daddy's doing. So I take a picture with my phone and I'm livid. I start calling him back to back to back. I start calling him rapid fire. He's still not answering. I'm losing my mind. He finally ends up calling me back at about 12:30, midnight, a little after midnight, closer to 1 a.m. And I said, where have you been? What have you been doing? He said, oh, well, I was at a bar. Obviously, he was on a bar, so I said, okay, well, I'll see you when you get home. As soon as he gets home, I call him on it. He's saying, nothing happened, I swear, I swear, I swear. And then in the middle of me screaming at him about this, he leaves the house and goes and takes a walk around the block. Hammered drunk, blackout drunk, cross-eyed drunk. And I noticed his shirt was inside out. And I called him on that because I saw him leave the house. I'm a person of detail. I notice fucking everything. I was like, I would have noticed your shirt if it was inside out. I would have said something. I saw you leave the house. Again, gaslighting me, manipulating me into thinking that I'm crazy, whatever. He leaves. I shouldn't have let him leave the house because all he did was went and called this woman and asked her to pretend to be someone else. So he gets back and I said, give me your phone and I need to talk to who you say that you're with, who you said that you're with, who he said it was another female coworker. We'll get to that. This might have to be 2 parts. Anywho, he takes a walk around the block. I said, if you don't give me your phone, I'm going to call your dad and he's going to make you give me your phone. Because I knew that was the only way he was going to actually listen, is if another man told him what to do, because he hates women. So he ends up giving me his phone. I call this person, we'll call her Margaret. And it's obviously not Margaret that answers the phone. Says nothing happened. I said, listen, girl to girl, I hold no ill will against you. Just tell me what happened. Obviously he had prepped her beforehand. Obviously she's gonna lie. And so she said nothing happened, blah, blah. And I just let it, I was just like, sleep on the fucking couch. Do not fucking look at me. So the next day we get up, business as usual. I get up with our son. I get things ready for the day. I'm ready to go. He's running around, hung over his shit. And his family comes over and I'm fucking livid the whole time. I can't deal. I don't tell a single soul about this incident for 6 weeks. So we're fighting. I'm obviously on edge about everything. He starts going out less and less. Still going out, but less. And then it gets to be about a week before my birthday / our 5th wedding anniversary. And I finally just like confessed to my girlfriends. I'm like, guys, I've been keeping this to myself for a while, and here's what's going on. And the group consensus was, I didn't tell anyone from my family, I just told my girlfriends. And the group consensus was I needed to look through his phone. And so I said, I know, he's changed his password and he won't let me look at his phone. Again, all of these things are screaming at me 2020 hindsight. You're fucking stupid. Why did you even need this evidence? You should have just left. There were also a million red flags prior to this, prior to us getting married, prior to us having a kid, prior to us, when we were dating. But neither here nor there. Just 11 years of my life wasted, no big deal. So we get into this big fight about him not letting me see his phone, whatever. Anywho, finally, I work up the courage to Facebook message the woman that he claims he was with that night. And she is a sweetheart who still checks in on me to this day, is the nicest fucking woman. I would not have been able to figure all this out without her. I message her and I say, hey, I wanted to ask you about that night in August again. I'd still have, I'm still unsettled about it. I still have a gut feeling about it, blah, blah. And she's like, she messaged back, she says, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so I'm like freaking out. And she and I kind of put things together that is this other person. We're going to call her Katie. So she gives me Katie's number. So that week, we were sitting on the couch, my ex-husband and I said, is there a reason why Margaret would have no idea what I'm talking about when I asked her about that night in August? And then his face just dropped. Okay, so part 2. So his face drops. And he just says, well, she wouldn't have any idea because it wasn't her. And I said, okay, was it Katie? He says, yes. So I'm so fucking annoyed. He's still gaslighting me, still trying to convince me that nothing happened, nothing's going on, he's not cheating, blah blah, and trying to make me feel crazy for wanting to look at his phone. He in one of the arguments we had, and I have it recorded because I just wanted to make sure later on I'm actually not the crazy one. He said that he doesn't want to have the kind of relationship where I can just look at his phone whenever I want. And I said, neither do I, babes. I don't either. I just want you to prove me wrong right now that you're not cheating on me. So anyhow, about a week after that, I work up the courage to call this woman, Katie. And I go to call her. She doesn't answer. So then I go to text her. And I realized I had texted her before, back in July of that year. And I'm thinking back, that was the night that my ex-husband had left his phone in an Uber, and I was frantically trying, while sitting at home watching our child, trying to find his phone. He said that the person that I was talking to was the wife of one of his friends, who I had met maybe once, so I didn't have her phone. Yeah, so she's lied to me twice. Once this summer in July, and once back in August, this Katie, about who she was or what she was doing with my ex-husband. So I text her and I'm like, hey, this is so-and-so's wife. Can you please call me? I really just wanted to talk. And she says, yeah, give me a little bit. So she finally calls me back. I remember this so vividly because I was sitting in the parking garage of my work and I was like staring at this concrete wall and I was just like, please let this woman tell me the fucking truth. I just need to figure out what the fuck is going on so I can figure out what I need to do. So she calls me. Again, I say, if you just tell me now mind you, Katie is also married with a child. I said, if you just tell me what happened, I will not tell anyone. I will hold no ill will against you. Please just tell me the truth. And I'm being extremely sincere. I would not have done that. If she would have come clean to me and told me the truth, I would have been able to be like, okay, that's on you. You do you. Leave my husband alone. That'd be great. But anywho, she lies again and says nothing's going on. And I knew as soon as I got the phone, I was like, she's lying. Great, awesome, wonderful. So a few weeks go by and we're planning on having, again, my ex-husband's family over for the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight that was on Netflix. So we got ready during the day, set the TV up outside. I'm cleaning, we're cooking. I'm watching our son the whole time. Turns out he had gone to lunch the day before also with this woman for her birthday. Anywho, so I'm just pissed off the whole fucking day. I'm pissed off when the family gets over there. At one point, we're all sitting watching the fight outside, and I'm just like, someone says something stupid about like female fighters, and I'm a self-proclaimed raging liberal feminist, more of a misandrist at this point, honestly. And so I'm just like, I'm not gonna sit out here and have you guys be sexist, so I'm just gonna go inside. So I go inside and I sit. Anywho, they end up leaving. My ex-husband is yet again blackout drunk, and he always had an AirPod in his ear because he doesn't know how to deal with his own thoughts for 5 seconds, and he was always watching like shitty old talk radio podcasts, whatever. So anywho, we go to bed. I go to bed before him. He's no doubt up late messaging her. So at about 4:30 in the morning, that evening, next morning, he's sawing logs asleep, and I see that his phone screen is on because he would watch those on YouTube, so his phone had to be unlocked. Swiped his phone, went to the bathroom, and found all the evidence that I needed. Threw up immediately, started shaking. Hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have told him that I knew right away. I wish I would have kept that close, more of a keep your friends close but your enemies closer type of thing. So I storm in at like 4:45 in the morning, throw his phone on his face, say, look at the screen. I had obviously already taken screenshots, sent them to myself, saved them to my phone, whatnot. And yeah, have been going on for 6 months, he claims, though. The bank account stuff that I went through, not only like right after I found this, but also during the discovery process of our divorce, would say otherwise. So yeah, this woman lied to my face on 3 separate occasions. So that morning I sent her the screenshots, as obviously I had her phone number, and I said, you better tell your husband before I fucking do. It's better to come from the person that did it than for them to find out through someone else. And then I found her brother on Facebook, and she didn't believe me that I would say anything. So I said, hey, are you so-and-so's brother? And he said, yes. And so I just sent her the screenshot. I didn't say anything, whatever. But she ended up telling him that Sunday. He's a really nice guy. Like, sweet man. And the shit that's happened since then is a whole nother story time. We ended up trying couples therapy for like 5 or 6 sessions. The entire time he kept saying, I don't know what I want to do. And I was just like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and fight for you to treat me right and to work on this marriage. So I'm going to head on out. But the whole time he was still talking to her. Even though the therapist had suggested that he call her in front of me and tell her that it was over, even though he claimed that they never were, and then he just like stopped letting me look at his phone. And that's kind of when I was like, okay, what are you doing? I'm still I still have bad days. I still scream in my car on the way home. I still break down and cry, especially when I don't have my son. Unfortunately, we have 50-50 custody. I'm still healing. I'm going to EMDR, trauma therapy, which has been a huge help. And I think it's going to be even more so because I just started back up my Lexapro. And I'm hoping that kicks in soon with the holidays. I mean, I got through Thanksgiving just barely, so anywho, yeah, maybe I'll do a part 3 with the aftermath of everything. It's been really shitty, and I still don't know what's true and what's not, and he still continues to lie to me on a weekly basis about little shit that doesn't fucking matter. Also, if you're a grown adult and you're still lying, what are you afraid of? Who are you afraid of? What? Why? If you're gonna be a shitty person, own it. Fuck.
When I was 13 and in 8th grade, my math teacher fucking hated me. Hated me, wanted to make my life miserable, and actively tried to. If you think I'm being dramatic, you won't in a few minutes. Here's the thing. Don't get me wrong, there are people who hate me and have valid reasons to hate me. She's just not one of those people. In 8th grade, I was in high school math, not really because I wanted to be, but because I was automatically put there because of like my test scores and stuff. The high school math teacher at our middle school was kind of known to pick a least favorite in every class. I just never thought that least favorite was going to be me. And I also didn't realize how bad it was going to be. When I was 13, I kind of looked a little bit different than like a stereotypical 13-year-old because I would wear a full face of makeup, I had highlights, and that just wasn't very common where I grew up. So it was easy to like spot me and be like, okay, this girl's different. And I genuinely think that was what happened because there was no reason to hate me from day one. Very early into the school year, she became very passive-aggressive towards me. So for my birthday, I decided to wear rose gold eyeshadow because it was my birthday and I wanted to like dress cute and like look good and whatever. So I put on the rose gold eyeshadow, I go to school, she doesn't say anything to me. And then the next day I also wore a really similar eyeshadow look because I thought it looked really good. And the day after that, I decided not to wear any makeup. And so the day that I'm not wearing makeup, after wearing makeup the previous 2 days, she calls me up to her desk after class. And I'm like kind of nervous and I'm like, okay. And so I walk up to her desk and I'm like, hey, like, what's up? And she's like, I just want to let you know, on Monday, you looked really pretty with all that makeup. All that makeup. On the day that I'm not wearing makeup. And I'm just like, oh, like, thank you so much. I really didn't read that much into it. One day during class work time, she comes up to me and my best friend, because me and my best friend sat pretty close together, and we're just doing our assignments, and she starts asking us about what we're doing over the weekend, what we're doing after school, whatever. And my best friend is saying some things, and she's being like very friendly, and then I said, and we're gonna DoorDash, like we're gonna get some food. And then she looks at me and she goes, must be fun to be part of the elites, doesn't it? Then we're all walking out of class. We're kind of walking in like a single file line type thing, and when the line gets to me, she like stops the line and she asks me, do you want kids, Sophie? And I was like, I'm 13, like I don't really know. And she's like, do you? And I was like, not really, honestly. And then she's like, you're gonna change your minds. You'll change your minds. And this one, like that conversation, that doesn't even mean, it's just weird. After this, she stopped being weird and passive aggressive, and she just became aggressive. I walk into class one day wearing a tie-dye shirt. I just got this tie-dye shirt. My grandma got it for me. I'm so excited to wear it. I think it's so cute. And like I don't get new clothes often. Like even now, like I don't really buy myself new clothes a lot. But I was excited to wear this new shirt. So I go into class, I'm like grabbing my homework and like my schoolwork like off of this table she had set up, and then she comes up to me and she's like, did you spill something on yourself? And I was like, oh no, like it's tie-dye, like LOL. And then she's like, really? And then she waits for more people to come in. And then she starts asking them, like, does it look like she spilled something on herself? I feel like it looks like she spilled something on herself. Waits until there's 15 people there and just using a super loud voice, being like, doesn't it look like she spilled something on herself? Don't you think she does? Repeatedly and so loudly, because she wanted everybody to hear it. And then after that, I went and I sat at my desk and I was like really upset, because I'm like, she just embarrassed me in front of all of my classmates. And it was tie-dye. Like I didn't spill it. Like it was a tie-dye shirt store-bought. Another day, we're taking a 5-point quiz. I scored 4 out of 5, so I got a B. A lot of other people got an A. So she made a little chart on like the whiteboard, which she never does. And usually I scored in the same range that everybody else does, okay, which is important. And she tracks everybody who got an A or whatever, and then one person got a B, okay? And then when people would ask her who got the B, even though it was just tallies, she would still tell people, so I don't know why even make it tallies, like I don't know. But she would be like, yeah, that was Sophie. And then when she said it one time, another girl looks at me and she's like, I also got a B, like, I don't know. So she wanted everybody to think that I was like the dumbest person in the class. One time I forgot a pencil and I was really scared to ask her for a pencil because she clearly didn't like me. And so I used one of my coloring pencils. Like I used a green pencil, and it was like dark enough to see, like that wasn't the problem. The entire class is quiet. Like I'm just taking my quiz, taking my test, whatever it was. And she comes up to me and isn't talking to anybody else, okay? She comes up to me and she's like, oh my gosh, is that a green pencil? And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, is that your favorite color? Is that your favorite color? Why are you using a green pencil? And I was like, oh, like I lost like my pencil. And again, if she had a problem with it, she would have just grabbed me another pencil from behind her desk. She didn't actually have a problem with it. She just wanted to make a scene out of it. And then she's like, oh my gosh, like so festive. Like that's so funny. Like everybody, isn't that so funny? They're taking a test. Like, what? Also, I can't say that I didn't spend a lot of time in the hallways, because I did. And I also would spend a lot of time at the counselor's office to like vent to him and stuff. Me and my best friend would both go down to his office. Me and my best friend would both vent to him. Me and my best friend would both walk around together. This teacher did not have a problem with my best friend at all. Even though we did everything together, she only had a problem with me. So she decided to start reporting me for walking around in the hallway. And every single time I was in the hallway, I had a hall pass. But she decided to report me and say that I didn't have a hall pass. And she was like trying to get me in trouble. She also brought this up to me, like in person. And I was like, A, like I've never been late to your class, like respectfully. And B, I do have hall passes when I'm in the halls. In all of these narratives she was pushing, it was very clear that she wanted me to feel like I was dumb and that I was always a problem. And so another one that she would tell me about was how she would always bring me up in meetings among other teachers. And she'd be like, just so you know, I talk about you in meetings. Just so you know, we all talk about you in meetings. And I just knew that that couldn't have been true, because a lot of my teachers actually really did like me. And also, why would you tell me that and then not tell me why? It just seemed like very much like a scare tactic, and I was very confused by it, and I was like, okay. And then I took this class with my best friend, like we were in the same math class, and she told me that she was trying to get me switched out of that hour of math class into a different one of like her hours where I wouldn't be with my best friend. And I was very codependent at the time on my best friend. Like we're not friends anymore, but like I genuinely, like she got me through middle school. Like I needed to be with her. Obviously, this was very upsetting to me, so I started crying, and then me and my best friend went down to the counselor's office together, which I'm sure made her even more angry. She's probably like, seriously, like, that was supposed to work, like, what do you mean? So we go down to the counselor's office, and we're like sobbing, and I'd already told the counselor a lot of stuff about how this teacher was mean to me, and then I tell him that she wants to switch me out of the class or whatever, and he's like, yeah, she brought that up to me, but I'm not gonna do it. And I was like, okay. like, thank God. And then he's like, yeah, like, you two need each other, like, you and your best friend need each other, and like, I feel really bad at like the way she's treating you. And like, he was very much so on our side, and he was very empathetic. Like, still, like, he's such a nice guy. Like, I hope that he's doing great, honestly. Then this teacher was even more mad at me because the counselor wouldn't switch me out of the hour with my best friend. The final straw that really proved to me that no matter what I was doing, she was gonna find something wrong with it was the day before Christmas break. So she puts on a movie and everybody's on their phones. Nobody's really like paying that much attention to this movie. And like, it's a Christmas movie. Like, it's like the Christmas Chronicles, okay? Like, it's not like a school assignment. On this day as well, you could sit by whoever you wanted. And so me and my best friend were in this class, and then also some of our other friend group was in this class. So we all sat like as far away from her desk as we possibly could, like basically diagonal and across the room. My best friend starts asking me to sit in her lap, and I'm like, I'm really scared. Like, if she sees me sitting here, like, she's gonna get really upset. Then my best friend and the guys in the friend group are like, Sophie, calm down. Like, it's literally, we're just watching a movie. Like, she can't get mad. I'm like, you're right. Like, I'm just being scared for no reason. Like, it'll be fine. So I sit in my best friend's lap, and then in front of us, one of our guy friends is giving himself a stick and poke. Like, he pulls out this little box of, like, push pins, and he's, like, giving himself a stick and poke. And then he drops one of the little, like, push pins on the floor. So then I very quietly, I get on the floor to pick up this push pin. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this teacher, like, sprinting across the room. And then she's standing above me, and she's like, Sophie, get off the ground. And go and sit in your seat. Do not sit on your best friend's lap. Like, I don't want to see you sitting on her lap. And I'm like, I was just picking this up. Like, I'm sorry. And she's like, I don't want to hear your excuses. Keep in mind, there's fully a guy giving himself a stick and poke, like, in her eye, like, in her direct eye vision now. Like, how am I the one getting in trouble? And also, it's the fact that she also said that I was distracting everybody. Distracting them from what? From what? Like, actually from what? This whole situation just, like, reinstilled the fear in me that, like, everybody's gonna hate me no matter what. The main reason why I'm making this story is because if you're in a similar position where you feel like somebody hates you and it's taking a toll on you, like, just know that if you are not doing anything to them, if you cannot logically think of a reason why they hate you, it's not your fault and there's nothing wrong with you. Honestly, no matter who you are in any area of life, like, the way that you treat people matters. And like 7 years later, I still remember this. So it's like, things stick with people. The feeling of feeling like nobody's gonna like you no matter what, that sticks with you. And if you're that teacher seeing this, I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that you are nicer to people now.
Get ready with me while I tell you guys a story time. Okay, so basically my boyfriend was spending the night with me last night, okay? And, you know, I was in there washing my face, brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed. So while I'm in the bathroom, my boyfriend comes in and he's like, can I ask you a question? And I was like, yeah, of course, what is it? His question was, why are you texting your ex? But it's not what you guys are thinking, okay? So a little backstory is I had a missed call from this number and I knew it was not spam risk because it said from your contacts, but it wasn't a saved number, so I was confused. And so I texted it and I was like, or I called him back and I was like, who is this? Like, I had a missed call from you, who is this? And on my phone, it didn't show no name, but then on my iPad, I had looked at my messages and it said maybe this person's name, and I was like, this is my freaking ex calling me. Mind you, I haven't talked to him for two years. I didn't know that until then, like 2 days later. And so my ex also followed me on Instagram and TikTok when I also texted him back asking who's calling. And I post on that night, I'm like, new tattoo, and he slides up and he's like, fire tattoo, and all I say is thank you. So texts go by, he's like, how have you been doing? I haven't talked to you in so long, or blah blah blah, like, just like normal conversation, okay? He did not ask to see me, he didn't say like, I miss you so much, we should hang out, like, he didn't ask anything, okay? So that's our conversation, and I was responding back. But I was like, the first time he asks, like, any type of anything, then I'm just gonna I'm gonna stop responding and I'm gonna block him, okay? So, like, because, you know what I mean? And I know I shouldn't be texting my ex if I have a boyfriend or whatever. Like, I understand that, you guys. Don't come for me, okay? But I didn't think there was nothing wrong with. So, basically, I was getting ready and my boyfriend looked through my iPad and seen that I had a conversation going with my ex. And so that's when he asked me, and then he was spending the night, so I walked out and I was like, yeah. At least I didn't deny it because it's right in front of your face. I was pretty embarrassed, but my boyfriend, like,
I just have a feeling like he would not care about that, because usually anything I do, he just doesn't really care. He doesn't show that I care or that he cares. And I look so greasy, don't say. He kept on, we were going back and forth at it at 2:30 in the morning. He did not want to be with me. He didn't want to even look at me. I know I'm in the wrong. Yes, he's still with me, but like he was calling me the B word multiple times last night. He was calling me a whore so many times, a hoochie, all of those words, because I was texting my ex. But like I was not saying anything wrong or bad at all. I didn't go for it. I was only replying. I did not start conversations. I was only replying, and it was from Thursday to about Tuesday. But it was only like Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. And I only replied. So, yeah. What would you guys do?
Aloha, my name is Anna, and I need your kokoa. I need your help. On July 15th of 2023, I was essayed at a spa in Honolulu. Two months after that traumatic experience, my mom passed away of cancer, and within the next year, I would lose 6 other family members. I didn't have time to pursue my case. It was already exhausting to grieve, but I had a really great victim advocate who helped me and reminded me that I needed to pursue it before the statute of limitation came, which was 2 years. Not nearly enough time for a victim to heal. Anyway, I filed again in January of 2025. The prosecutors let me know that I should be going to a bench trial in late April or May of 2025. But that didn't happen because the defendant hired an attorney who in turn helped him to stall time. And with that, they also asked for a jury trial. My case moved from district court to circuit court with the jury trial now on my mom's birthday, August 4th of 2025. I was subpoenaed to court, and the court date was set for September 15th and 16th. But because his attorney is Akamai and knew how to play the right cards, he filed for a motion on Rule 48. Rule 48 basically says that if a defendant isn't charged within 6 months, they can drop all the charges. And at this point, it was almost 6 months. So now with this motion, they had to stall my case again, also because the attorney had some issues with evidence, so they needed more time with it. So they re-subpoenaed me to court on October 27th and 28th, which still was supposed to be a jury trial, and honestly is stressful to even think about. His hearing for the Rule 48 was supposed to be before, on October 15th, but me as a victim having no say in this, and he apparently has way more, he pushed that hearing back to October 22nd, and on October 22nd, Judge Rowena Somerville, who is a woman, by the way, dismissed my case with prejudice. This means I will never get to retrial. And this man who essayed me got away with his crime. That I was basically denied justice. And on top of that, now there's this man in our community and he still has his massage license. I cannot bear the idea of knowing another woman or man could be hurt by him and have to endure all the same pain and trauma that I've had to work through in the last 2 years. It's unfair. And so I need your kokua. I'm going to write to our legislators for the safety of future victims that Rule 48 should not be allowed to drop SA cases. There is a predator in our community, and he got away with what he did because of this unfair rule. He has a right to a speedy trial, but so do I. And I had to endure months of being told I would go to court, and then it'd be a jury trial. And the stress of knowing that I'd have to tell my story in front of people all over again, relive what happened to me, only for it to be dropped, and for me to know that I will never get to see justice on behalf of what happened to me. This isn't porno. This isn't right. And it endangers our community. And I need help. So if you want to write to legislation with me, our legislators, just DM me or comment on this video, because the more voices that push out, the story and push out the unfair applications of Rule 48 and essay cases, the more that we're likely to change the laws and the rules. Yeah. And please share this story, because our Aina deserves to be safe. We should be able to go to massage parlors without the fear of being harmed and without being harmed, So, yeah. It takes one victim to be felt by Hawaii's justice system and to start calling for change. But it takes a community to enforce change. I can't do this alone. So please, if you'd like to help, let me know.
My name's Alexa, and I'm filming this video today in regards to Grand Canyon University. So if you know anybody that goes to the school, you go to the school, you've heard of the school, or you just want to listen to my story, I don't really film these videos, but I thought it was important after my second appeal was denied by the school, which I'll get into later. But basically, I'm just bringing light to a situation that they have regarded all empathy, all sympathy, and not paid attention to any detail. And as a school that prides themselves as Christ-centered, I think it's really off of how they've handled this situation. And if anybody has had a previous situation with them, then yeah. On October 22nd, I intentionally overdosed in my dorm room at Grand Canyon University and was sent straight to the hospital, where I spent 3 days under 24-hour supervision. I couldn't wear my own clothes, and I lived 27 hours away from home. So, giving you the basis of the situation, I eventually left the hospital after those 3 days with the guidance to return home to my hometown and go, take care of myself, be around family support, get into therapy. And then it came back about a week later that GCU gave me a drug violation. The email basically stated that I was being charged with the Good Samaritan drug violation, and I had to complete these sanctions by this time to keep the Good Samaritan violation the same without it going up to a standard. Which in the Good Samaritan law, it states that you are not given a regular drug violation. It is a Good Samaritan violation, meaning that GCU should not be able to move my violation up regardless of whatever sanctions they want to put out. Mind you, I took the time to complete these sanctions besides the BIT meeting because it was a lack of communication on GCU's end. I spent numerous hours communicating back and forth through different departments, working on my own, trying to figure out what I had to submit, where I need to submit it. And basically, I was given no answers. So it said to click the link to schedule the meeting, which I did, and said error, and then it was like, send an email to this person below. And the lady I sent the email to was the lady I was supposed to meet for the meeting, and she literally said, I don't want to give you the wrong information since you're no longer a GCU student. I don't know how to help you. So I was guided back to another counselor under community standards who basically said she marked me as complete because I completed my assignment, and I thought I was good until I got the email saying your Good Samaritan has been moved up to a standard drug violation. This is when all hell broke loose, and I basically emailed the person that gave me that email saying that I was moved back up, and I was like, I am so confused. I have been trying to reach out, trying to schedule this. She said she didn't know, and I feel it's a lack of communication on your end. Is there any way I can fix this? Mind you, I had been reaching out for literally a week. I had been completing my stuff, talking to my counselor. Also, mind you, I'm still waiting for the past 4 weeks of submitting a grade appeal to them. So this is where the appeal comes in, because if you don't think their whatever guidance or whatever they give you, the violation isn't right, you have 2 times to appeal. So mind you, I'm at home trying to go to therapy, trying to heal, trying to do everything, because there was a lot that happened my freshman year, and it's very traumatic, and my mom flew out, and we had to pack up my dorm, and mind you, during this time, I'm receiving emails from GCU saying, your stuff is being taken out of your room, you can't get your stuff back, blah, blah, blah. I had been on the phone with my RD of my building personally and told him that my dad was flying out on the 12th because I received an email saying, your stuff is being taken by the 5th. And he said, okay, that's fine. All you need to do is pay the $50 fee for checking out late. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And he said that my stuff would be left in my room. And I received that email literally afterwards, still from GCU. So once again, I'm reaching out, I'm emailing, I'm freaking out. They're adding stress to my situation when I've already spoken to everybody. And basically he was like, oh, we just had to send that email. And I was like, so you have to send an email to somebody that literally has gone through a horrible situation, me and my family, at your school, regardless, and you're still sending us emails and you're sending me bills and everything, but you guys can't look into an appeal about a purposeful drug overdose. So, long story short, I submitted my first appeal, and it was 3 pages long. It was 3 pages long, stating, not arguing, but stating the facts, stating how this was so much more than just me doing drugs in my room with my friends. This was so much more in a life that could have not been here getting these appeals. You wouldn't have been submitting these appeals to somebody whose life could have been lost, and that life was mine. I made sure to add in there that I don't feel like in the lowest moment of my life that decision should be affecting my future. I want to go into nursing, and I was pre-nursing at GCU, and I think anybody knows that having a standard drug violation on their record or anything is going to throw your nursing career in the trash when another school looks at that, or future employers, because they don't get to see the explanation. If they saw a Good Samaritan, maybe it would make sense, but a regular drug violation I don't think is fair to me or my future career. So within 24 hours, I got a letter back saying that my appeal was denied. A 3-page letter. And I understand you have your university handbook policy, I understand that, but it was a lack of communication on GCU's end for what they needed, what sanctions they needed for me to complete. And I'm appalled by the lack of empathy or anything from any single person on that board. Any single person that read that letter. So about 2 days ago, I did my second appeal, which means it's the last appeal, and it goes to a new board of students or whoever's on it, and they deny that today. Basically, I am calling out Grand Canyon and trying to bring awareness that as a school that you say you're Christ-centered, you care about your students, it's so upsetting. I was a student, I went there my freshman year and had a very difficult freshman year, still came back with a positive attitude. I played club soccer this year. It wasn't, I was this moping around student. I obviously have such a loss of respect for Grand Canyon, and I'm just disappointed in them because that was my school and that was my second home, and for everything they pride themselves as, I can't believe they are choosing to not really look into the severity and details of the situation and kind of are just shooing it away as it's just any standard violation. And I chose to go to your school 27 hours away from my own home because I felt like that was my second home. That's supposed to be your second home. And I don't feel like my second home should be punishing me for the lowest moment of my life or making me feel embarrassed or ashamed about it. I've always been a huge advocate for mental health, suicide, everything. And I feel like it's not right to not talk about it because this was my school. I loved this school. Unfortunately, things happened at this school that I could not continue to be there. But I chose that school for a reason. The professors were great. I thought GCU cared about you and your grades and everything, but unfortunately, going through the situation, I have lost so much respect for GCU because of how you handled this situation and how it really could have taken somebody's life. So for anybody that's had a similar situation, you go to Grand Canyon University, speak up, talk about it, don't be afraid because you should not be shut down for talking about mental health. You should not be shut down for expressing your feelings. And everybody goes through a depressive state. Everybody does things they're not proud of, but that should not affect your career. It should not affect your education. It should not make you feel embarrassed about what you did. Mental health is real, suicide is real, and it needs to be talked about so much more.
I need you guys to understand though that I have gone back and forth for a long time about sharing this because it is humiliating to her and her actions, but it's also humiliating for me. It's hurtful, it's embarrassing, but here we are. Let's talk about my maid of honor drama. Some very important details that we need to lay out before we get into the story. One, we grew up very differently. I grew up in Atlanta, very southern, not wealthy in any way or shape or form. I got the Pell Grant in college. That tells you anything. She lived down south in like Delray, Boca Raton. Very different financial status growing up. I was introduced to her by my now husband. He has a huge friend group. In that friend group, she was one of those people. He introduced me to her. He's like, I think you guys would be best friends. He was not wrong. We got along great. This girl and I, we spent all our time together. We spent holidays, we spent Christmases, birthdays, whatever. She threw me a surprise party. We never had any issues during all of our friendship up until the engagement. She even came to our engagement like the day of. She was there, she was part of it. The night of our engagement, we had a party at my father-in-law's house. She like left early, which was weird. That's not normal of her. Social butterfly, stays with me to the very end. Any party we've ever had, she stays with me. Okay, sorry. My Doberman started barking. He had to be a part of this. And that's not an issue that she left, like just out of character for her. So that's the only reason that I'm bringing this up. I'd been living in Delray, but I had gotten a job offer up in Orlando, so we had moved. That did seem to take a toll on our friendship. I think I was very hurt by. I've had friendships all of my life that we have just traveled all over the place, and we still are friends. Like we call, we text, we check in on each other. These friendships that are very meaningful to me, I think they're worth it, but to each their own. But come that October, when the hurricane came through, we decided to go back down south to my father-in-law's house because we don't have a generator here. Just pack up our stuff and go. I want you to remember this point because later on she's going to call me clingy, and this is why she's calling me clingy. I had told her I was coming down. She was like, okay, great, I can't wait to see you, I'll come over. She came over and she like didn't stay, which is not like her. In our past, she would stay with me. When I was living down there, she would stay with me. And so she left, and then I texted her like, hey, it was like Friday or Saturday, and I was like, hey, like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I have plans. Just taken back because if the tables were turned and she was in my city, I would be spending my entire time with her. I expressed that to her. I was like, hey, like, I'm a little shocked, like, you're not like hanging out with me more. Like, are we good? Like, she said, we're fine. Like, I just already had plans before you guys came down here. And I was like, that's okay. But like, it was with mutual friends. So that was odd behavior. Come February, and I want you guys to remember this. I had a brunch. Asked all my girls to be my bridesmaids. She is someone who is always very well put together, always dressed to the nines. She looked so rough. When I think of my friend, I think of someone like a ray of sunshine. When I saw her, like my heart dropped. I was like, this is not the person that I know. During this brunch, I had made all of these girls boxes that said, you know, will you be my bridesmaids, which I'm going to include proof of them here. I had picked them up back in December because I'd been working on the boxes, and I got all of my girls their favorite things. I got this girl a, what is it called? The Baccarat Rouge, whatever perfume, that expensive shit. I got a candle with their birth month, like flower on it. I'd gotten them like individualized phone cases that were customized to things that they really love. And then I had like made ribbons with like their names on it and put it on top. Like I really went above and beyond for these because I wanted them to feel loved and how important they were to me. As the months went on, she just like didn't really seem to be involved, didn't seem to care, didn't ask me anything like, hey, like how's wedding planning going? Like how can I help? Like what do you want to do for your bachelorette? Like there were so many times where I tried to like call her and say, hey, like let's plan my bachelorette. Now I can understand where your like minds are gonna go and you're gonna say, well, you know, being part of a bridal group, like that's a lot. I do understand that, but this is not how it was for me. I never wanted that financial burden to be on anybody else. I saved a lot of my money over the last year and a half, 2 years, because I wanted to be able to treat my girls, because I don't think that it's right to ask somebody to be a part of your wedding party and then they have to go into a ton of debt. Okay, sorry, I forgot to include this part as I was editing, so I'm coming back and adding it. We had gone wedding dress shopping and my mom was with us. Remember how I said we spent holidays together, so my mom knows her. My mom pulled me aside afterwards and was like, she does not look okay. You need to talk to her, I'm worried about her. And anytime that I would reach out to like check on her, be like, hey, like I just wanted to check on you, like see what's going on, it was always, I'm fine. When I would say like, hey, like it doesn't seem like you're fine, like what's going on, like just talk to me, she would get very upset and say that nothing was wrong and I was reading too much into it. I do have like bad anxiety, but I know what's my anxiety and I know what's real. I sent her this long message just saying like, it really doesn't seem like you want to be a part of my bridal party anymore, like ask you things, you don't really respond, like just feel like I'm bothering you. She ignored the message. Like 2 or 3 days, finally she responded, and her response was, sorry, this is a lot, I need time. I responded to her by saying, your silence says everything. Just don't worry about being my maid of honor, just be a bridesmaid, it's fine. 2 weeks go by, we had still not spoken. I sent out a link in a group chat to the girls that were gonna be my bridesmaids, as well as some extra of my other friends that I invited. And I said, hey, Airbnb is paid for, here's the link, here's the date. She responded back and was like, oh my God, can't wait to celebrate you, this is gonna be so fun. And then she texted me individually and was like, hey, like, do you wanna chat? Like, let's talk on the phone. And I was like, oh my God, okay, like great, this is the turning point. We get on the phone call and she's like, I just feel like you are expecting too much of me, and you know, I've never been in a wedding party before, which is a fucking lie. She was literally in one of our mutual friends. On top of that, we had had a conversation a while back where we had talked about like what are the expectations. Great eye. She has a fantastic eye for designing things, for clothes. I wanted her opinion on that stuff. Like, she's so good at that. She loves picking out clothes for people. Where we had left that. So that was a lie too, that she said that she didn't know what I was expecting of her. The phone call went absolutely sideways. She said that I was burdening the people around me and like my wedding party, my 3 other bridesmaids. I put them in a group chat. I was really genuinely excited to share this with my friends. I thought like I would enjoy this with my friends. If one of my friends was getting married, I would want to see like what she had planned for like the table designs or like the linens or like the florals. And I wasn't trying to be a bother. I was not trying to be a burden. Oh, also I had forgotten I had left out another part of the story. Remember earlier how I said we grew up very differently? I don't know if this is like the Southern person in me talking. Right after the bridesmaids thing, this girl said she didn't like me because I like animals, and we weren't gonna invite the girl to the wedding, and it was like causing all this drama. She like went and hung out at her house and like didn't tell me about it. We've been talking about what our plans were for that weekend, and she like just like blatantly like ignored it. But I saw a picture. Maybe this is a Southern person in me, but like I would not hang out with somebody that was talking shit about my best friend. I wasn't trying to be clingy, like this is just how I would treat people. So she had brought that up in the phone call and said that like I was clingy. Her words verbatim was that nobody gives a shit about your wedding colors, no one gives a shit about the florals, no one gives a shit about the table linens, it all just doesn't fucking matter. She said that it was a burden and that I was annoying her whenever I would ask her like, hey, like are you good, like I'm worried about you, like just want to check in on you, like how I'd mentioned with my mom earlier. And she said that it was a bother to her. Phone call, I was like, well, I don't want someone to stand beside me on my wedding day that doesn't give a shit about any of this stuff, because I give a shit. Just come to the wedding as a guest. We'll talk about my bachelorette like another time. The next day, and remember earlier how I said that my now husband Corey had introduced me to her? Well, remember, they were friends before we were friends. She texted him and was like, hey, can we talk? And I get on the phone And obviously it's on speaker, and she's like, this is just gonna stay between you and I, right? Obviously I'm listening. The first thing that she says, so is Sarah just like being really emotional? He was like, well, effort is not being matched in y'all's friendship. I feel like Sarah's putting a lot in and you're not matching that back. And her response was that I had done nothing for her, which again is a fucking lie. Some examples would be years ago on her birthday, she like loves animals, so I had gotten some of my friends at the Miami Zoo to come like let us. We were gonna do a backstage thing. We even had shirts made. She and some other girls stayed out too late, partying all night. They were too fucked up to go the next day. So maybe I didn't have the same like money as her, but I always showed up for her in ways that I could. At the end of the phone call, I will admit what I did. I snatched the phone out of his hand and I yelled at her. I definitely did not handle that situation well, I can admit that. A few weeks later, I'm hanging out with some of my friends down there, and I find out that she is lying to people and telling people that she had no idea she was my maid of honor, and that she never, like, the box didn't say anything, we had never talked about it. So yeah, she is blocked. She did not come to my wedding, and I'm really thankful for the person who did step up to be my maid of honor.
Hey guys, so this is part 2 on my breakup was 9 months ago, and I just found out that I did get cheated on and I got left for someone else. So in the last video, I kind of just gave context on how the breakup went and how I got broken up with, how I got left. Basically the days leading up to the day that I got left. But anyway, so after he broke up with me, I kind of just left the house and I went to my friend's house. I blocked him everywhere and I really didn't look back. I knew that he was following a new girl on Instagram and on TikTok, a coworker, but I didn't really text him about it. I didn't fight about it anymore. I didn't show up anymore. I was like, you know what? He's gonna regret this, and whether he's leaving me for someone else or sum things up, like, I didn't do anything wrong and I might as well just leave right now. Anyway, so I didn't really hear from him for 2 months after the breakup. I heard from him again on May 11th or May 12th of this year, and I posted a video actually where I posted the screenshot of what he said, so you guys can go watch that. But basically he just said something along the lines of what we had was real, and I'm sorry. No, actually he didn't even say sorry. He just said that he wanted to talk in person or he wanted to call, and that's it. I didn't get an apology of any sort, and I don't know. I didn't react to it for like a week until I called him back and I told him, like, you're gonna tell me that you didn't leave me for your coworker, and he denied all of it. Oh, I didn't leave you for her. I would never do that. I entertained her for a little bit, but it was after us and nothing ever happened. I didn't fall for it, and I stuck out for another month until I hit a really vulnerable point, and then I did call him. I just needed some support, a friend, someone who knew the situation that I was in, which was my biggest freaking mistake. But I did call him, and then ever since then, we had been in contact for a week. We stayed in contact for a week, and then, guess what I found out? So his coworker actually texts my friend and tells her, hey, I didn't even know that they were in contact until today, but this is what happened. I also posted that message that she sent my friend, so you can go look for that too. But just a summary, she just said that they hooked up and that he just wanted to fuck her. And yeah, so great news to hear, right? Anyway, so after I find this out, I confront him about it, and he basically tells me the same thing, that it was the biggest mistake that he'd ever done, that he regretted it, that he didn't cheat on me, that he would never cheat on me. I posted those videos too, those screenshots, so you can go look at those too. I just post everything, so you can literally go find everything. So for 2 months after I found out, he was doing a lot of begging, a lot of trying to get back together with me, trying to fix things, trying to find ways to get to me. And he would show up to my house, he would call me, he would text me, he would text people correlated to me, and I just felt very suffocated because I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know if I should believe her and her side of the story, that she was the victim, that he just wanted one thing. I didn't know if I should believe that he had been texting her, asking to go to her house. I just didn't know if I should believe him, saying that he didn't have anything serious with her, that He didn't pursue her. I didn't know who to believe. I just needed some time to myself. I needed time to get my thoughts together, my feelings together, what I wanted, what I didn't want in my life. And I kept asking for him for space, and he just never gave it to me. I remember I asked for space the first week that I found out. I asked him for a month, just a month to think about things, because I still loved him. I knew my self-worth, but I still loved him so deeply. And he was saying all these things that sounded like a melody to me. It just sounded like a lullaby. It sounded beautiful. He was promising things that I had wanted our whole relationship that he would never have told me back then. He was telling me that he wanted to marry me, that he wanted to see me as his wife, that he wanted me to have his kids, that he wanted to build a life together, that he wanted to move in together as soon as we got back together again, that he wanted this and that. And it's just like, it was so overwhelming that I just needed time. That's all I needed. So he didn't respect me. I remember I asked for 1 month, and 2 days later he showed up at my house and sent me his location to let me know he was outside. Horrible. I obviously went outside, but I just went outside. I asked him if he needed anything, and he just started crying, and I told him I can't be here right now. And I was walking back into my house, and he called back for me again. And that happened maybe 3 times, and then it was just like calls and texts, and oh my gosh, just horrible to look back on. I couldn't fully give him what he wanted, which was us back together or just a chance, because I was so unsure, and I was okay with that. Also, I was very lost as to my self-worth and my value, and I was very open to just dating people, which honestly probably wasn't the best idea, but I was going out on dates, and he saw this, and he said that if I really loved him, I wouldn't have gone out on dates while he was trying to pour his heart out to me. So in August, I guess, like, me going out on dates and something, just he couldn't sit with the consequence of his own actions. So he actually followed this girl that he met that was like telling him that he was attractive or whatever, and he started following her. And I remember I freaked out about it for like a couple days, but then I kind of just let it go, and then I tried to go no contact for a couple weeks, and then eventually, like, he told me after weeks that he was just trying to like prove a point to me, and he unfollowed her. I wasn't checking afterwards after I stopped talking to him, but he told me he had unfollowed her because he wanted to prove something to me, that he could be loyal and this and that. And I'm just like, that is such a stupid way to do it, right? Because you're gonna follow her to prove a point that you can still pull women, and because I was going on dates because of how you made me feel. But then when I stopped talking to you, you unfollow her to prove a point that you can be loyal. Like, what? Anyways, this is all kind of irrelevant, but I guess that just goes to show, like, he has a pattern, and for as much as he tries to tell me right now that he's changed and that he's doing so much better and that he's moving on and he's healed, I think it just goes to prove how much he's still stuck in his own pattern. And so this is when I'm going to start telling you about the things that I found out. So I might have to make a part 3 because I'm going to start telling you about the information that I found out. But basically, my ex used to work at a gymnastics studio, and, well, he works at a gymnastics studio, so he's around women all the time. The coworker that he slept with, we're going to call her Stacy. And then Stacy had a best friend who also worked there. Let's call her Maya. So Maya had her own boyfriend, and Maya and her boyfriend loved to go line dancing, and I guess that's kind of like the activity that they would do. And so Stacy joined in, and then my ex started to join in when he broke up with me. Maya's boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend, because they're not together anymore, he's actually the one who told me all of these things, and everything that he told me lined up exactly to how the story went, to how he broke up with me. And so let me tell you the story. Actually, go to part 3. I think part 3 is going to be the last one, and I'll just tell you everything over there.
She's going to dehydrate. Christina, do you want some water?
Somebody sustain me!
Hey guys, so third and final part of this video series of me finding out that I did get cheated on and I did get left for someone else after 9 months of my relationship. So I did write everything. I did record this last night. I didn't mean to keep you guys waiting. I did record it, but I feel like I missed out on a lot of details that kind of make the story add up. So I wrote it all down so I wouldn't forget. Okay, so the first video, I kind of focused it on the breakup itself, how it happened, how we got there, how it led up to that. The second video, I kind of went over what happened after the relationship. And this video, I'm going to tell you about how I actually found out the information that kind of made me put all the things together and kind of just like connect the dots. The assumptions I was under, and honestly the patterns that I'm seeing with him right now, why it's so hard to detach, because I saw a lot of you guys comment like, why would you let him back in after finding out that he slept with someone else? Why would you stay? Why would you even want to go back? Or just a lot of things that honestly are valid to question, and I kind of just want to clarify as to why I stayed for so long and why I put up with a lot of what happened. So alright, so if you didn't watch my last video, I gave code names to 2 girls, Maya and Stacy. Stacy's the girl that my ex slept with 2 weeks after we broke up. Maya is a coworker. They're both coworkers, but Maya is currently still a coworker. Stacy has left the picture ever since she actually stopped working there after the whole scandal. Maya had a boyfriend during the time that this was all happening. Maya's boyfriend, we're gonna call him Jack. Jack actually reached out to me this Sunday, and that's when he kind of clarified everything that was going on, because he was present during the whole time that my ex and Stacy kind of started with each other. And since Maya was also there to kind of watch it unravel, well, Maya would tell everything to Jack, and then Jack was actually there when they would hang out. So he's like a third party that was present and just clarified everything to me and just gave me everything that connected the points, literally. So I was under the assumption for the past couple months that my ex only did what he did because of the pain that he was in from everything, from this losing me, I guess. And when I found out about the whole coworker situation and that he had slept with her, I was so manipulated, so gaslit for so long. He convinced me that it never happened while we were together, that it didn't develop until after, and it was really quick and this and that. Okay, so that night that he left my house to go to a bar with his friends, Jack actually told me that he and his girlfriend had gone to the bar with Stacy. Stacy didn't have a date, and my ex told me that she did have a date. Stacy didn't have a date and she was supposed to go with my ex, and my ex showed up late because he went right after my house. He went to go pick up his friend, and then they both went together so that he wouldn't feel so guilty. That same night, if you watched my past videos, that same night I was at home crying because he wanted to go to this bar and we weren't on the best of terms. So I was just at home crying my eyes out, trying to say the right things to him to make him stay and to want to stay to fix things with me, and nothing really touched him. And yeah, so Jack told me that they had gone out that night and he showed up late. Now, I did talk to Stacy when I first found out about this. When she first reached out to my friend, I did talk to her directly, and she told me that my ex had actually gone around the whole gym that they worked at and had asked her friends if she was interested in him. Jack actually told me that during this time we were still together, and she actually rejected him. Why she rejected him, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's because she knew of me, and that's kind of what led him to break up with me, was because he knew that he had gotten rejected because he was with me. So he broke up with me, and then when they started going out again after our relationship, that's when they hooked up and everything unraveled with them.
So it sucks because now I'm looking back at our relationship, everything before the day that we broke up, and I'm just looking at every argument that we had, every disagreement, every time that he brushed me off, and I'm just questioning whether it had any correlation to her, whether he was talking to her. I wasn't going through his phone at this point. I honestly didn't feel the need to, but it sucks because now I'm just questioning everything. Alright, another point that I want to touch up on is the people that have asked me why I would stay after even finding out about the coworker. Like, even though I didn't know that I got cheated on, just finding out that he had slept with someone else, why would I go back and why would I have it on and off with him? I didn't go back. I kept asking him for space, and I kept telling him that I needed time to think, and he kept showing up at my house. He kept calling me. He kept contacting people that were close to me, and it was really bad. For 2 months, I just didn't get the space that I needed. And hearing the reassurance that you've been asking for and hearing everything that you've been wanting your whole relationship, it pulls you back in. It sucks you in. And for as hard as I tried, I mean, I never got back into a relationship with him, but it was just an on and off situation for 2 months. And this is also really important to mention. This is also something that it's why I kept going downhill until now. So I kept on and off with him for June to August. In August, he actually met a girl at a party, and yeah, from one night to the next, he blocked me. And then, by blocked, I mean my number. He blocked my number, and he actually followed her on Instagram. And ever since then, he just runs to her whenever he needs validation. So then when he tries to prove himself to me, or when he tried to prove himself to me, he would unfollow her, tell me that it meant nothing, tell me that this and that. And the girl knows about me too, and she just doesn't care. She doesn't care. So this last time that we cut it off was really bad, and the first thing that he did was he followed that girl right back, and he also started following back a bunch of coworkers from his gym, which made me really feel bad. But at this point, I want to let go of the situation. Trust me, I am tired. I feel like I'm tired of myself for allowing him to come back and suck me in so many times. I was so manipulated for the past couple months. Every time that I would be like, you know what, I'm out, I'm done, he would pull me in with just saying the right things, even just giving me a glance of hope, and I'm done. Like, it's tiring. Trust me, I'm tired. So I think I've caught on to his pattern. I've been in this situation for the past 4 years where he leaves and then doesn't get fulfilled with another girl, comes back, leaves, doesn't get fulfilled, comes back. However, I think the last time was probably the worst time because we were actually in a relationship for 2 years, and then he just left, and now we just I've been so manipulated. I hate it, and I take accountability for going back and allowing myself to get this low, but it's time to pick ourselves up. I've actually gotten back into therapy, so we're doing that, and we're getting better. I know that I can do it without him. I did it once. I did it twice, actually, so I know I'll be fine, and I appreciate all the kind words, all the messages that I've gotten, all the support. It really does mean a lot. It helps throughout this whole process. And this is another thing that I want to touch up on. Wait, I forgot what I want to touch up on. Okay, this is what I want to touch up on. I have also gotten a lot of comments saying how my whole page is dedicated to him. Yes, that's why I made this page, because I want to be able to talk about my feelings. And then I also got another comment that said that it's been 9 months and I need to just move on. And I just want to say, I'm not hung up on him. I'm hung up on the situation. I'm hung up on the truth and what I thought was the truth, and now finding out the truth 9 months, almost a year later, it's hard, and I feel like I've never processed any of it. So yeah, it's been 9 months, but I feel like I'm so behind. I feel like I'm just finding out the truth. The last time that I saw him was a month ago. The last time that I spoke to him was a month ago. I feel like no contact just started. Like, this breakup is just happening. And anyway, so I feel like I'm finally picking myself up. I'm finally accepting the truth for what it is. I am seeing him for what he is,
And I made this account months ago, and I'm still talking about it because I know that a lot of people go through this, a lot of girls go through this, men go through this, and I want an outlet where you guys can talk about it with me and I can talk about it with you, because right now I have a bunch of DMs telling me, and I am so grateful. I am so happy that you guys can feel heard through me, and I feel heard through you and validated. So my 10 minutes are almost coming up, but yes, thank you for all the support and for all your words, and yeah, we're gonna heal, I guess.
Let's talk about the epidemic of this here crack pipe.
Get ready with me while I tell you about my ex, who is a serial killer. To preface, I'm 18 years old. We met when I was 17 and she was a 50-year-old police officer. We met online on TikTok when she found my account and followed me and started liking and commenting on all of my TikToks. I didn't think anything of it until she started heavily flirting with me in my comment section, and so I ended up going to look on her account and saw that she was a police officer. It went a while until we ended up actually interacting with each other when she DM'd me one day and did the little waving thing. And we talked for a little while over in our TikTok DMs. And long story short, we talked for a couple of days before I ended up giving her my number. And we started texting and calling from there. She seemed pretty normal for a 50-year-old, but granted, she shouldn't have been talking to me at the time. I told her I was 18 at first before telling her a couple of days later that I was actually 17. And she wasn't fazed. She continued talking to me, and our relationship kind of kickstarted there. It went very, very fast. It was almost immediate that she had kind of put her claim down on me for the most part. She would always talk about wanting to come see me, and she lived in Miami and I live in Atlanta, so we were talking long distance. She would always talk about how she wanted to see me, how she wanted to come up, how she was so excited to have met me, and she was already falling in love with me because I was so smart and so beautiful and all the groomy things. And I'm pretty smart, so I knew what was going on, but I was just entertaining it for, I guess, my own enjoyment. But it started to intensify really, really, really fast. And she would say things that were randomly really possessive and kind of creepy. And I should have blocked her then, but I didn't. And we started calling maybe 2 weeks after she got my number, and we'd call during the night and just kind of talk about everything. And then there was one night where we were talking about work, her job, and I had asked her, I was like, have you ever killed anyone on duty, or ever had to do that on duty, or had to shoot someone? And she said, on duty or off duty? And I said, both. Weird fucking question. Why would you have killed someone off duty? And she started telling me about it. She told me that she had killed someone the very first time when she was 15 years old because she was in a gang. She had been in a gang since she was 13. And then the next couple of ones were when she was 18, 20, 21, just as she got older, she just continued. At this point, I definitely should have left, but I'm a curious person, and if someone is admitting to having murdered people, I want to know more. And she wasn't in my state, wasn't in my city, and I was like, if this goes left, I can just block her and be done with it. Pause, look how cute my shirt is. It's backless. So after this, she ended up telling me a lot more, really descriptive details about how the Everglades, because it's sacred property or something, they go and dump bodies in the Everglades and let all the animals eat the bodies. And she would also tell me about her torture methods and how she would have to do what she called grab and smash, or smash and grab or something, where she would pick someone up off the street and beat the shit out of them and drop them off somewhere. She would have to do pickups and drop-offs for her gang, where she would go and pick people up and then deliver them to the gang for them to do whatever they needed to do to that person. To this day, I'm not really sure why she was telling me all of these things and trusting me with it, considering that we had only talked for 2 weeks. And I was a 17-year-old girl that definitely would have squealed. But silly old me. Of course I didn't, because I didn't really have a lot of information on her and I didn't know what to do. with that information that I had found out, so I just kept talking to her. After that, she started making more direct threats towards me, being like, I really want you to be mine, like, if you don't, like, I don't know what I'll do. And I was taking that as a sign of like, oh, like, if I don't engage in this relationship with you, like, you're going to do something to me. So I continued talking to her, and 2 weeks later, after she told me, she came to my city to meet up with me. And I was petrified, but I felt like I couldn't say no because she had pushed for it for like days and days and was being really aggressive towards me if I didn't. So she flew up and stayed in a hotel, and I met up with her, and inevitably we did what people did in relationships. After that time in the hotel, she basically declared that I was her girlfriend and that I wasn't going to go anywhere, or else she would do terrible things to me and my family. And later on throughout our relationship lasted about like maybe 10 months. She started to, So after that, she started coming up to see me more. So she would come up to Atlanta maybe like twice a month. And she would stay for a weekend or a couple of days, and we would see each other during that. During a couple of those stays, she had pulled a knife on me, pulled a gun on me, but also promised that she would never do anything to hurt me, promised that I was her number one, her only one, her soulmate, her all of the things. And I felt pretty stuck. I didn't really know what to do. I felt like if I left, that would be like her breaking point. And later I found out that it was her breaking point, because once I had talked about what she would do if we broke up, she was like, oh, I will literally drive this knife through your whatever, and like, you're done, like, you don't get to leave me. After a while, she gifted me a necklace that was a chain with a cross on it that she told me if I ever took off that she would kill me. And she would send me all sorts of gifts and presents and money, and also a lot of drugs. I started cocaine because of her. She would send me cocaine in the mail, and she would send it to me, peer pressure me into doing it. She would give me all sorts of things to try, and she was a really heavy addict and a really heavy drinker. She did heroin, cocaine, she drank constantly, so she was always in an aggressive mood. About 6 months in, she told me that she wanted to marry me. Mind you, she was already married to another woman and had 4 kids of her own, 2 of which were under the age of 5. But she told me that she was going to divorce her wife and that we were going to have kids together, and that on my 18th birthday, I was going to go to Miami to live with her and get married. Somewhere in between this, she started to grow a lot of resentment for my mom, because my mom was obviously keeping me from like being with her full time, being with her a lot, talking to her all the time. So she told me about how she planned to kill my mom, and how she was gonna, what she was gonna do, how she was gonna plan it, how she was gonna like break into the house, and like all sorts of things. And by that point, she knew where I lived, she knew all of my family's information, and I was super worried. The only problem here is that I had no evidence. Everything she said to me, she said over call. We didn't text. There was barely any like communication or threats that were in our like messages, so everything that she said was just over the phone. Sometime in January, I know that she had killed someone, because she told me that she had to go on a job and came back late at night, had to wash all the blood off her body and whatever, and just, I knew about that one, and that was the most recent one, I believe, and the most, I don't think that there's been anyone else since then. Fast forward to my 18th birthday, she bought me a car, she bought me a ring, she was pretty much ready to go, and I had my flight booked by her. And I got to the airport, made it to the airport, and I was about to get on the flight when my mom found out everything and came to stop me. But before that, I had already put in my phone a statement saying my name, my age, my location, and her name, her age, her location, where she worked. And I clipped every single piece of evidence that I had, all of our sex tapes, everything into a big folder, and I left it where my mom could find it. So my mom came to the airport and called the police and told them that I needed to have a 1013 filed so that I could be involuntarily held in a psychiatric hospital for 3 days just to protect me. And then while I was in the psychiatric hospital, my mom contacted the FBI, and the FBI started an investigation and arrested her on a complaint made by my mom. And so she's currently sitting in federal prison awaiting her trial. she hasn't pled guilty or not guilty yet because they're still investigating the murders on top of everything else that like opened Pandora's box because of her arrest. Her name was Carly Miranda Blum. She lived in Miami, Florida. She worked for the Miami-Dade Police Department, and her life is over and I am free.